Okay, so this video is called Why I Bought a 2DS, or Why Did I Buy a 2DS? And I get it. It's cheap. A lot of people don't like it. A couple of the guys that I work with, they've had 3DSs and the new 3DS XL and all these fancy ones. And some of them, when I told them that I bought this, they were like, "Really? Like, why?" Now, when I explained it to them, they were like, "Oh, okay, kind of makes sense." So that's sort of the point of this video, I guess. Basically, I had a few DS games lying around. I bought a DS back when it was like the original DS, and Mario Kart DS just came out. I bought the pack. It was the red DS, and it came with a bunch of stickers you could put on it, and Mario Kart DS. And later I found a DS Lite in a recycling bin. It was pink. I don't remember if I ever showed that to you guys, but I had a pink DS Lite that someone threw out in a recycling bin. Didn't have the charger, but I had a charging cable for it anyways. And so I had acquired over the years a few DS games. Not a lot, but I had a handful of DS games. And the DS Lite ended up breaking, and so I had these DS games lying around and no way to play them. I had no more DS Lite. And so that was part of the reason. There's really four reasons, I guess. And that was like reason number one. I had some DS games lying around and no way to play them. So I looked at like used DSs. One of the local game shops sells used DS Lites. They want like too much for them used. So like a DS Lite starts at like $60, and the DS Lite or DSi XL or whatever it was like $80. And just to play DS games, I thought that's getting a little much because, well, these are cheap. And that's, I guess, the second reason. This was $1. It was $1. This was $1. No, this was $109.99, I believe. $110. And the third reason is that this color scheme really just popped out. I saw this in Walmart, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, I'm not a huge Zelda fan. The only one I've ever beat is Wind Waker. I really liked the one on the Super Nintendo, but I don't think I ever beat it. I needed to play DS games. I wanted something to play DS games. This was cheap. Not much more than buying a used DS, and it plays 3DS games. And I like the color scheme, and it came with the game. So those are really the four reasons, and it was like, okay, well, it's cheap, I'm going to buy it. And the truth is, I kind of like this thing. I don't really mind the shape of it too much. Is it the most comfortable thing? No. But really, were any of the DSs, to me, ever the most comfortable? No, they were never as comfortable as like an original Game Boy. But it works. It's not extremely uncomfortable. I can actually play on this thing just fine. The biggest downfall to me is that it doesn't like fold up to protect the screens. Like, honestly, the fact that like this shape and the way it looks and the way it feels, I'm fine with all that. It just it is nice that the ones that fold up, that protects the screens. That's like the biggest issue I have with the shape and size of this thing. I actually kind of like the design for what it is. It was meant to be sold cheap. Obviously, it doesn't have the 3D capabilities, which I really don't think I care about that, to be honest. Again, that was the other thing with this. It was like, well, I don't like really care about having the 3D, so I think that's fine. I got this thing on hold. So I then eventually bought Mario Kart 7 shortly after buying the DS. Just give you a quick look at this. Graphically, it's a Nintendo handheld. They're never state-of-the-art in the performance category, but it handles its own. It looks alright. It certainly looks like Mario Kart. Probably a little bit better than the Wii version. The resolution's probably lower. It's such a tiny screen, So you always got to remember that. It's such a tiny screen, the resolution is probably, I don't know, 240p or something, 360p. Never even looked to see what the resolution on the screen was. It's certainly not HD. But it's so small, it doesn't really matter. It looks fine. It's Mario Kart, runs smooth, It's fun. It looks fine. And again, never played this game back in the day, so this is kind of like the most I've ever played this game is on here. Because I had friends that owned it, so, I mean, I had seen the game, and, but I never really played it. And so, I got it on here. Again, it came with it, and I was like, one of the 4 reasons. I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this thing up. It looks cool, it's cheap, plays my DS games, and it comes with this game. What I didn't realize was they kind of overhauled this game a little bit. It's almost a remastered version. And I don't know if it's like the definitive way to play this game, but it might be. And battery life's pretty decent on this thing. If you keep the brightness level relative, what do I have the brightness level on right now? I mean, it's obviously probably too bright for the camera. I didn't think of that. I got the brightness on 4. I could probably knock that down to 3. But if you turn Wi-Fi off and keep the brightness on like 3, the battery life is really substantial. The SD card's in there. That's funny. I actually thought it was a micro SD card. I assumed it was a micro SD card. And you know what? I said it was a 2 gigabyte. How do you like that? It's a 4 gigabyte. It's a 4 gigabyte, not a micro SD. It's not even an adapter. No, that's a 4 gigabyte full-size SD card. And the games don't take up a lot of space. The Zelda on there is hardly taking up anything. The pen goes in the side. Still has the 2 cameras, which is funny. So it has the 3D cameras, despite the fact it can't display 3D. Like it can't display 3D, so it can't display the 3D photos in 3D, but it still takes and saves the photos in 3D. So I guess if you share them with your friend, and he has a 3DS, he'll see the pictures you took on this in 3D. The cameras are crap, anyways. I think that goes without saying. It's obviously where the DS and the 3DS games go. I always want to say 2DS, which is funny. I mean, it's DS and 3DS games that you play on your 2DS. And yeah, the volume slider is on the side. It's like a sliding bar, it's not a wheel.